Thank you very much. That hand that I received from all of you here tonight was kind of like the day the fans in St. Louis found out I had been traded. Overseas a year and a half to Philadelphia. But I too have been a victim of cancer, surviving pancreatic cancer a few years back. And it was something that I never wanted to talk about, the pancreatic stuff. But then through the great work that the medical people have come up with over the years, and eventually we'll beat it. But I always held back on the fact that I had pancreatic cancer. My mother died of pancreatic cancer. But then I thought, why not? Why not talk about it and let people know that you can win sometimes? And I'm one of the winners. I have a funny story about Vince Lombardi. Years back, and this is the days at County Stadium when the Packers, what they play, 3 games down here, 3 or 4. We were always privileged, and that being players who lived in the Milwaukee area, the Braves players, guys like Eddie Matthews, myself, Henry Aaron was here. There were a few other guys. Johnny Demerit lived in Port Washington. But as long as you stayed out of his way, everything was okay. Now they're playing the 49ers in a game at County Stadium. After the game, I have to take Bart Starr, Elijah Pitts, and there was one other player. We were going to a fireman's fun dinner in Kenosha. So I go into the locker room in the clubhouse before the game. Everything is fine. Everything is great. Now it comes time to get out. They're going to have their meeting. Game starts. Cold, ugly day. Rainy, sleet. And about 3 minutes before halftime, I've had enough. I'm going up into the hallway area at the old ballpark, the locker room. And I'm standing up there, and halftime, it's like 10-7 Green Bay. And the 49ers were not all that good at that time. Well, as the players start coming up the stairway into the locker room, I kind of turn to the wall, and I see a few of the guys go by, and things aren't all that good for the Pack. Well, at the bottom of the stairs, the last player had gone by me, and now I look down there, and there's Vince Lombardi. And I can't tell you what he really said, but he threw me and the security guy, both of us, out of the locker room. And I mean, he really tore into us. Him for letting me stand there, and me for even being there. Well, after the game, they win like 21-10, and I had to go back in there. I went in there, and it was like nothing ever happened. You know, how you doing? Good to see you. You know, great game, huh? Yeah, it was really good. Everything was really good. But having been around those Packard players at that time, the likes of Bart Starr, Max McGee, Paul Hornung, Fuzzy Thurston, who we just lost not too long ago, all great friends, and those days of the Braves here in Milwaukee and the Packers for those 3 or 4 games that they played here were some of the great memories of my time. The transition from Milwaukee to Atlanta for the Braves, and the eventual arrival of the Brewers. And thanks to my good friend, Alan H. Bud Seeley, who was sort of a second baseman, I guess, when he was younger. He laid in the dirt for 3 hours and the guys jump on him and everything else. He was terrible. But I remember in 1970, I was doing a dinner in New York, and Buddy was there, and he offered me a job to come back here. And it was one of the best days of my life to be able to come back home. But again, the award, and I know a lot of you who are here each and every year, and you know who past recipients have been. To join that elite society of winners here for the Vince Lombardi Award of Excellence is truly one of the best days that I've ever had. Wow. Thank you very much.
Bob Uecker, ladies and gentlemen. So Jason, wherever you're out there, he says, who is the hardest pitcher to catch ever for you?
Well, there was only 2. No, I caught more than that. No, you know the funny thing you were talking about Phil Niekro a little earlier, Kurt. I caught Phil Niekro all through the minor leagues. And I guess, you know, you don't pay too much attention to it when you're doing it as a minor leaguer. Well, when Phil came to the big leagues and joined the Braves, they traded for me back from Philadelphia to Atlanta to become his personal catcher because Joe Torre wouldn't, and they were paying him too much money to take a chance on him getting hurt. So, yeah, I became Phil's personal chaser. And without hardly trying, I think you remember, I led the league in pass balls that year. Which, when you consider I didn't play every game, I think it's pretty good.
This one comes to us from Melanie. She says, your favorite Brewers moment?
Well, there's been so many. You know, the 82 season, I guess, Billy. Yeah. I still think it's not sour grapes by any means. I think we were still the best club, but without Raleigh Fingers, who was down, and Don Sutton wasn't available to pitch the way he did, you know, for most of the year. But I really do think the Braves, or the Brewers, I should say, were the better club. Cardinals won, no sour grapes about that, but that was a big, big year for the city and the state. There's been so many big-time plays. Bill, you're out there all the time. And one of my best and closest friends, you honored him here last year, Robin Yao. Yeah. Robin Yao will always be a Brewer. I don't care, you can tell me anything you want about guys who come through here, and for somebody to spend 20 plus years in the same uniform, chances to go other places and to make a ton of money as they do today. I mean, what's really shocking, I would be $1 million ball player today. That's shocking, isn't it? Yeah. That's shocking, it is. Gee. Oh God. I mean, I was paid a tremendous amount of money by Rawlings, not the kind of money you get today for signing these contracts, but never to be seen using their stuff.
Debbie wants to know what your favorite acting job was.
Trying to be a hitter.
There you go.
I had a great time doing the Belvedere show. For 6 years we did that. Major League, because they kind of let me do what I wanted. I had a script, and a lot of the stuff that was used in the film was written by them, but they told me to be this guy, Harry Doyle. So I had a script down by my feet, and I would look at what the situation was, and then I'd go from there. You know, I had a good time, a lot of fun. And Charlie Sheen is knocked out. He's a beauty. Pretty good athlete too.
He is actually.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he threw the ball hard.
Yeah.
He was really good.
This one is from Stan. He says, with all that you've ever played with, baseball players, all you've ever called, the moments you've been in, not only doing the Brewers, but also the Game of the Week, NBC, and all the guys that you knew, he says, have you ever stepped back and really thought about your career?
Not really, Billy. You know, I've got a great job, and I always enjoyed everything that I've done. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it, really. But I go back to the Tonight Show. This is when they were in New York yet. And I had met a great trumpeter at that time by the name of Al Hurt, one of our great musicians. And I did a job with him one night in Atlanta, and he told me he was going to get me on the Tonight Show. And I said, oh yeah, really? At that time I was doing a lot of stuff for Sports Illustrated. Kiwanis, Rotaries, you know, doing all that stuff. It was fun. And about 2 weeks later I went to New York and did the show. And Johnny did ask Ed McMahon if I really did play. I think after about maybe the third year that I was doing the shows, we didn't use the script anymore. You know, I got along with Johnny that well, and we had a great time and just, you know, let her rip each and every time. And those were some fun times for me, really.
I don't know if you had the chance to see it, but the 40th anniversary of Saturday Night Live just happened, and this man hosted it 1 year. And the story you told on the air the other day was hilarious for people that don't remember it.
Well, what you do when you go to Saturday Night Live, you do a week of skits, and you do it with each comic who's on the show. And the first guy that I ran into was Billy Crystal. And we went into his office and created a scenario where he was my son in a Little League game, and I was the manager, and he let a ground ball go through him for an error, and we lost the game. And the bottom line was I kicked him out of the house and brought in a new son. Yeah.
The line was, you've been optioned to the Meyer family.
You're going to live with the Greenbergs. That's what I call it. You're going to live with the Greenbergs. Yeah, he begged me to come back, and now what did you do? You kicked the ball. What did I tell you? Oh, it hit you in the face? You let it hit you in the face. You got to stop it.
I went back and watched it on YouTube. You ever
Did you?
Yeah. How did you get into those jeans? You're wearing some tight jeans in that.
I know. And the pants I had underneath them were really tight. No, I'll tell you what, working, and again, it's just all this stuff I've done. Working with that group of people for a week is pure insanity. It really is. It's one of the best times I ever had.
It took a minute to sink in.
That's okay. I got over here and said, you gotta be kidding. No, I don't know. You know, when I was growing up as a youngster here, the Brewers were here as a AAA team. Remember that? Way back.
Way back.
Now, there's some people in here who will remember that, up on 8th and Burleigh and Chambers, Orchard Field. I've hung around there pretty much. Went to Boys Tech High School. here in Milwaukee, where I loan hot wire cars. No, I'm kidding. No, I had a great time at Boys Tech too. I really did. I enjoyed it. But I joined the service on our team. Yes. Yeah, I joined the service. I put in 2 years and got scouted out of the military. Really, that's a true story. This is a true story. I actually started my career as a pitcher. And I remember my first game as a professional, and my mother and dad were there, and sisters, and it's a big time for you, you know. And I remember, I don't know, second inning, third inning, manager came out to take me out of the game, and I didn't want to come out because I was embarrassed. My dad had spent a lot of money on me getting me through high school, and so I asked the manager, I said, well, let me pitch to this guy one more time, because I had struck him out the last time I pitched to him. And he said, I know, but it's the same inning. But I really did have a tryout with the Braves at County Stadium. I went down there, and their pitching coach at that time was a guy named Johnny Cooney. And I was throwing for about 15 or 20 minutes, and he said to me, standing right alongside, he said, now let me see your good fastball. It's a true story. And I said, I have been throwing a good fastball. And he said, well, I recommend you get a job. And years later, when I came back to the big leagues as a catcher, I asked him the story, if he remembered me. He said no, but that really didn't happen.